picked off this team, kicked them while they were weakest, instead of just giving them a road to that 35-minute mark and a victory. And we are now into Champions League for game number 2. RNG are, in fact, on our blue side, and they ban away the Malzahar on blue there as well. So making sure they're giving as much respect to that champion as possible.
And that's big. I'm glad that RNG, recognize a big power point. If they're not going to pick it, take it off the board. So we'll see if Team WE get another 5v5 style composition, because the ban that did not make it through was the Sivir.
Yeah. Wow, choosing the Rek'Sai ban here as well instead of the Hecarim. Hecarim going to go straight through and get picked up into the hands of Lupa or MLXG, whoever wants to play it.
And I feel like this means that you have to pick up Sivir, because you can't give Sivir and Hecarim through. Obviously, the ability...
Does it feel like a Sivir Shen almost has to be picked up here?
I think so. In response of taking away necessary tools from RNG's composition. I don't mind the Alistar. I think it does make sense in terms of the Thresh being banned and then taking Alistar, like really trying to narrow Mata's effective champion pool. Normally Mata looks very good on the Bard. Unfortunately, last game, not to the same extent that we're used to seeing.
Well, the Sivir is being looked at. It's a dangerous lane combination in the early game here for WE. It does look like they probably will want something like a lane swap moving into this one if they do pick up this 2v2.
But again, it's just waiting that idea of, we already decided to put down Mata in our ban phase. Let's double up on that, all or nothing, and take the Alistar and leave that Shin available for the Shin Hecarim combo.
Yeah, well, 957, we'll see whether he goes back to something like a Maokai into it as well. Of course, had the opportunity to go towards something like a Trundle in game number 1, but decided not to.
I think this will be Shen Braum.
Would make sense.
Could also see
everything open.
Mata go back towards that Bard if he wants to have a stronger 1v1 threat. In fact, they're actually going to hide it right now. So typically in second rotation on blue side, you pick up jungle support so you can continue to hide your composition. But
yeah,
Mata hanging on to his pick, possibly trying to see if they can force Team WE into 2v2 standard lanes, try to go for that Bard and get a range advantage to really bully out the Sivir Alistar.
I already like this from RNG. Getting that Hecarim in there does give them another big threat in that jungle role. Will be more difficult for Condi to pick up something like the Graves this time around. It's now waiting on Xie and Mystic to make their decisions.
And at this point, you're probably going to be looking at your top laner and your mid lane pick. Oh, cool.
Close. There's Gragas and Ryze currently being hovered. And Condi going back to a favorite. Actually not going to happen. Top lane and mid lane to be locked away.
Nailed it.
Yeah. That's 100 coins for you.
Ah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Makes sense that they would look towards the Ryze simply because they already have the Sivir, so the ability to augment his movement speed. They work very well in tandem together. You're not blind picking your top laner, so taking that Trundle who excels against melee matchups in that top lane. Yeah. So able to punish there. 957 actually isn't a big Trundle player though. It's not one of his big pickups. I believe he's already only played it once so far in the LPL.
Actually 3 times, but it has been a very long time. And it is one of his very, very, very low played champions.
Yeah,
he's played 12 games on Maokai.
Ever plays it. Primarily his responsibility is for hard engage versus disengage.
Yeah. Well, we do have the Azir locked in here for Xiaohu, the man going back to his roots, making sure that he's on comfort against Xie's Ryze. He's going to be the Braum picked up as well for Mata.
Yeah, back to basics here for RNG. And I think once they see the Trundle, they're willing to look for the lane swap, which is why they opted out of the Bard and then picked up the Braum. We'll see if they execute on that, or if, again, they try to find maybe a cheeky level 1 to even out the lane. Still do have a lot of pressure in a 2v2.
Yeah, they most certainly do. As Condi's currently looking at the Elise, I have a feeling that, honestly, the Gragas would be a phenomenal choice here. Condi has shown really good play on the champion, but it is going to be the Elise locked in. Single target lockdown, most definitely there in spades, as they've got the Rune Prison as well.
See, I also agree with the Gragas simply because he's such a great answer to the Azir as well. You know, being able to knock him and sweep him out from underneath his tower to break that mid lane freeze. But Elise and Sivir in tandem are also a very potent combo simply because you kind of hide in Fog of War, you press the On the Hunt, Elise comes around the corner, and you shorten your window to react to that cocoon. It's a lot easier to pick up picks and kills that way. So just kind of a different flavor of composition, although a little bit out of Team WE's wheelhouse a bit. You know, they're more so the 5v5 team. They've given 957 the identity of being in charge of disengage as opposed to hard engage.
Yeah. Well, we'll see exactly whether it is going to work as well, as we are going to get straight back into it. This game is going to be well underway. As you can see, the lineups on your screen right now. MLXG taking that Hecarim, changing it up. RNG looking like much more RNG composition this time, as it looks like the triple threat is now in their hands with that added Hecarim damage.
Yeah, I feel like we just kind of traded comps a little bit, although the one thing that Team WE did retain in terms of their identity is their ability to scale, and it is a huge threat late game.
Most certainly is, as the coaches are going to shake hands, and we'll see whether WE can close it out in 2 games or whether RNG bite back.
We come and we go and we go.
Thank you, Uzi. That intro is always extraordinarily intimidating. We'll see whether WE are going to also feel the same way and try and head into some sort of lane swap situation, as the Sivir Alistar, not necessarily known for its lane power very early on, whereas Ashe Braum most certainly is.
Yeah, have the potential to look for that. But we'll see how we shake out in this 5-man fan-out. Of course, Braum has great potential to invade with his Winter's Bite and Concussive Blows, which is what Mata is flexing right now.
Yeah.
So early deep ward on Grom to kind of figure out where Condi is starting. Again, it's very important to pinpoint where Elise is starting in her jungle so you can map out her path. She's a very heavy gank-oriented jungler, so pressure early for Team WE, or at least proactive pressure, because we expect that MLXG will kind of be sitting back and farming. Yes, Hecarim can mix up his pathing, look for early ganks with his E, but typically has a very expensive item build, wants to kind of play it a little bit slow.
Yeah, try and get as much farm as he possibly can. Course, does help if you get some money for a kill. There's now Uzi waiting in this brush on top of a ward. You can see Mata waiting off to the side out of vision. So there are pings everywhere. It's interesting. See whether WE do have any plans here. As you can see, RNG understand that their particular one was foiled.
And that plan, of course, trying to interrupt the Gromp and use the power of Braum level 1. Which was pretty telegraphed from making that ward, but we will have 2v2 and immediately...
Oh my goodness, the concussive blows almost procced there as well, but a lot of damage out of Uzi as Mystic. It is going to wear off. They are bullied out of the way. However, absolutely fine. WE, they're more than happy to be zoned away from a couple of waves of minions.
Well, I mean, it's never nice to have to force your Alistar to start Triumphant Roar so you can survive the lane.
Yeah.
But yeah, with that E start, it pretty much has decided Team WE's fate here. Zero saying that no combo is going to be available until level 3.
As Uzi abusing that range advantage that Ashe does inherently have.
Yeah, you won't like him when he's angry.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
But this does create a pretty big pressure point for Condi. He's now on the bottom side of the map, has his red buff available to him, so he's been spotted out by that Gromp ward.
But can at least provide some space here for the WE bottom lane.
Well, that's also why RNG have warded behind them. They actually have a ward in their lane brush to offer Looper the ability to come in should Condi look for the invade. Or the gank, excuse me.
Well, speaking of looking for things, MLXG was towards the top side. 957 throws down his pillar and gets aggressive onto Looper. But MLXG doesn't want any of it. Just wants his Gromp camp.
Good job collectively from RNG to find Condi.
Yeah.
And just diffuse a lot of his inherent pressure on the map. Xiaohu on your screen right now doing a phenomenal job playing towards his strong side, knowing that there's an Elise sitting in that brush. If they want this gank, they're going to have to force the flashes.
Well, there's the Rune Prison as it is going to be Jie heading in there. Doesn't actually need to use the flash in order to get over the top as Condi waiting for the flashes. Jie over the side, and it is going to be Condi picking up first blood. And that is only the ghost needed from Condi.
The patience paid off. Should be noted that Condi did use his flash to cross the lane as bottom lane.
Yeah, you can see Headbutt goes back as the exhaust right down onto Uzi. We will have the passive going off from Mata, but Uzi just doesn't have the health in order to get himself back in here. Spider Lady, thankfully for OMG, no longer around. But WE starting a lot earlier as far as getting their aggression on.
And they actually tried this last time they faced RNG. Again, the collective total of that series was 2-1 in favor of RNG, but they did mix it up, try to play that early game.
Yeah. This time around, though, they're playing the early game, but they've still got all of that scaling. They've still got Trundle, Rise, Sivir. Not to mention all of that teamfight prowess that an Alistar is going to have, as Mystic taking a few more harass, but is going to be able to lock down the cannon.
I should really still be on this mid lane, although we do see MLXG kind of creeping around the bottom side. Could wrap around for a gank. That ward is very shallow. If they move up any farther, it won't stop Hecarim's speed.
Most certainly won't. Winter Spite is going to land. Mystic most certainly in kill range is level 4 for Uzi.
So MLXG is looking bottom right now because, again, that's where his kill pressure is. He's got the hard CC from Mata. Team WE should look to continue at mid lane. They still have a flash available on Rise, so he can still deliver hard CC. Again, the last flash they burned was Elise's. And Xiaohu doesn't have either summoner right now, so he has to be very careful.
Yeah, Flash Rune Prison is definitely going to be a thing. As Condi will then be able to just walk up for that cocoon, but does want to help out Mystic and Zero here towards the bottom side. Zero can start a fight effectively. And Uzi does not have his heal. Mystic has double summoners.
Should be noted that Uzi's Hawkshot did not spot out Condi.
Mystic continuing to move forward, but you can see both junglers actually giving up on this bottom lane. This Condi actually going to make his way over. Raptor Sense is still there, knows that he hasn't been seen.
And he knows that the Hawkshot has gone by.
Well, now Triumphant Roar getting Mystic a little bit of a health advantage.
They don't have a lot of potential here. RNG would have to massively misstep because Zero doesn't have Flash unless you walk into him.
Yeah, well, Mata is actually going to have to be altered by Lupa. Nicely played. Will make it a 3v3, but Mata flashes as it's cancelled, I assume, by a pillar.
This is what I'm talking about. It's these tiny macro, like these decision-making errors. Like, Zero does not have Flash on Alistar. There's no way that that gank should work because there's no way for Alistar to walk up. But if Braum just walks into, oh my god.
Well, Condi's just looking to try and take down Mata. Nice unbreakable as the repel is going to be used in order to get out. MLXG gets in here and just pushes Xie away. He is level 6, but no passive to be available just now. And RNG want this. MLXG is in a whole host of trouble. Gets hit by a cocoon and just taken down. That is going to be the second kill for WE as Xie picks up one off the back end. There's the Rune Prison as the Q comes out from Condi, but isn't enough. And Xiao just too late to the party. What is going on for RNG?
Well, they could have cleaned up that kill on Uzi, but a lot of respect given to the rotating Xiaohu because he did have level 6. So again, if RNG are kind of fumbling on this really high-level decision-making on an individual basis, Team WE are so clean on it. Don't overextend for this kill. Yes, we can pick it up, but the Azir is on his way. He's in Fog of War. He has his ultimate. We're under a tower. And that is the difference between these teams, and that's why Team WE are coming out on top right now.
Yeah, WE just looking brilliant. It is going to be a slight lead for Lupa towards the top side of the map, but he's done his job. The fact that he managed to cancel that Stand United, just beautiful. Does have the teleport advantage here as well. So for the first time in Trundle's life, he's got a global advantage over a Shen.
Yeah, and we're also seeing why that they were okay to prioritize the Alistar as opposed to the Shen in their second rotation when they saw the response of Hecarim and Champion Select, knowing that A, you could pick up the Trundle and deny the Stand United with a long-distance disruption on that pillar, but also giving Zero this playmaking ability and setting up those initial kills on Alistar. Phenomenal.
Yeah, there was also a reason why they banned away the Alistar from Mata in game number 1. Didn't want him to have it. Knew that there was going to be the priority pick in the Hecarim, as of course that was the other ban that was skipped. WE drafting well and playing well to match it. And now Mystic has a CS lead and a BF sword as well on the Sivir in a lane that we weren't expecting him to win.
Have to give good or huge props to Coach Hoon behind Team WE to set them up for success in draft phase like this. See if they can continue to execute it on game.
And I really like the fact that they've been augmented into their own style as well. I mean, WE have been able to play out this early game wonderfully well, have themselves a pretty organic 2,000 gold lead without any turrets falling, anything like that. But also the fact that they've got Sivir, they've got Trundle, they've got late game threats. And if we get into these late game team fights, it will be hard. Of course, RNG have a lot of tools, but WE is still set up.
Yep. 100% agree. Again, still empowering their big 5v5. See if RNG can make more use of their picks or get their Hecarim online, as MLXG is actually now looking bottom. Again, that's a very shallow ward for the speed at which Hecarim can get into a lane that will not save them. But still fails to pull the trigger because he sees Condi walk over Vision on top. They're trying to set up a trap.
Yeah, WE once again, heads up play, just seem to know exactly what's going on here as Xiaohu inching forward. Finds Xie.
They're going in.
Yeah, there's the Winter's Bite as MLXG looking for Mystic. Stand United's there as the arrow does miss. And WE now trying to cut this one out. On the Hunt has been popped. That movement speed advantage that they have is a big deal. And once again, Stand United does not deliver a Shen.
Huge play also from Zero on the Alistar, using his W appropriately to deny a lot of the damage from the charge coming in from Hecarim. So missed his Pulverize, but headbutted really well. As now Team WE were setting up for a bit of a counter gank.
Yeah, MLXG knows that there's no vision available in this brush just yet.
Round 2.
Back. Does still have his ultimate, which is extraordinarily important, but there's no arrow and no on the Hunt. But WE want this so bad. No teleports for either top laner. But there is the knock-up onto Uzi. Nice unbreakable stops the Boomerang, but the Glacial Fissure might be enough in order to stop this one. Xie is making his way in as WE looking to try and push in the minion wave. Will they go for a dive? I'm not entirely sure, but Xie going to miss out on a lot of creeps for this.
But this is a completely different look than we're used to from Team WE. They're actually being proactive early game.
Yeah.
And yes, the execution didn't work in that scenario, but that's the first time this game. This is a much better look. We talk about teams ramping up and developing right before playoffs. Team WE on the right foot, and RNG really struggling as we come into this final stretch.
Well, you can see as well, Xie, he's got his Catalyst, he's got his tier. 88 CS to 96, no problem at all, because he's been moving around the map with his team, making sure that he gets there. He's got the Ghost, of course, pretty short cooldown, used it just before. 957's in this top lane, just looking to get himself to that split push threat stage. Has the Spectre's Cal now, as well as the Tiamat. He's in a position to do work, and he's been doing his job. He's stopped Shen from getting into any fight. And that's a mentality thing for Looper as well, because it means he now has to traverse so much distance before he feels safe executing on his ultimate. And it means that RNG cannot make plays like that.
Denying a lot of the Hecarim Shin combo is massive. Should be noted, I want to quickly touch on the dragon, the fact that it is a cloud dragon.
Yep.
I think that's actually really beneficial for Team WE, even though they are making the early proactive plays, just because, again, their natural tendency, always confused, you can't find the pink ward. And he lost his razor scent sharp thing.
Raptor sense.
That one.
Razor sharp sense guy.
He found it.
He killed it in the end, thank goodness.
But I think it just plays to them. That was a scary trap.
That was, yeah.
Simply because, again, they like to sit back. And if it's an Infernal Drake where a team can really snowball heavy advantage on them, it's quite punishing.
Well, we'll see whether WE can actually take advantage of it, as MLXG looking to finish his Cinderhulk before starting off on any Trinity Force, unless he's going to opt into a different build, possibly full tank Hecarim. They do have a fair bit of late game sustained damage in the Ashe and the Azir, especially when Azir can provide space for Uzi, which is extraordinarily important.
I would like to see him go tanky just because I think it's important to deliver Shen, although Shen will give him natural tankiness, so you can pretty much make an argument either way.
Yeah.
As another trap is being set up for Xiaohu.
Well, there's the flash forward. The chain CC comes in as Stand United. We'll see whether it's going to be enough. Xiaohu does have it. Red buff's ticking down, and he'll survive for the moment. Uses both of his summoner spells, but gets out alive.
Does alleviate or... yeah, loses a lot of pressure over this dragon if Team WE want to pull the trigger. Again, it's just a cloud dragon, though. I have a feeling if it was an Infernal, they might have considered that one.
You see MLXG now going to clear out this mid lane, and despite the fact that they were unable to pick up the kill, that means no flash anymore. Once again, the Azir has to play extraordinarily far back, can never walk into Fog of War to follow up unless they've got vision. Just smart play from WE, knowing where to be and knowing where to pressure.
And constantly, Xie's beating Xiaohu on rotations because of this innate advantage 1v1 in the mid lane, which is quite peculiar because Xiaohu actually moves around a lot, and RNG really rely on him to collapse with their team.
Yeah, exactly. And like she's standing on a pink ward, does know what's up, continuing this bottom side pressure. Hasn't looked at Looper's lane since the very early stages. As Arrow flies through, Zero has to use the ultimate as Unbreakable Will. Not going to save him from... Oh my god, the passive damage that came out, they just went straight through it. As Condi comes in, they've caught Marta. Can they answer? They do so. So both supports are dead as MLXG looking for the Elise. It doesn't get the concussive blows, and it's a 1-for-1 trade. WE will take it.
That's actually just a massive mistake for Mystic, though. Using his spell shield on the volley instantaneously meant that Zero had to stand in front of him because now you don't have the spell shield available for the arrow, and you're trying to counteract it with Alistair's ultimate. So he pretty much just killed his support as soon as he pressed spell shield on that volley. I doubt he'll make that mistake again.
Yeah. You can see 957 is going to take down the turret in the 1v1. It's a bit of a sign for things to come as well, if Amazing J taught us anything. For as much of the game as possible, he was just doing his very best to ignore Shen. Take everything down. Xie clears out that minion wave instantly using the passive, and Rod of Ages just stacking up. This Rise is well and truly happy at 1, 0, and 2. And RNG just not looking like the same team that we sent to MSI.
And what's scary is the fact that because Trundle is winning the 1v1 top side, it means that Team WE can continue to pour resources into winning the bottom side of the map because this has organically already worked out for them. So we're consistently seeing Zero stepping into Fog of War, placing down Deep Vision. Now we're finally collapsing on that dragon. But they have no fear to set up traps in this red side RNG jungle.
You can see Condi now will have the mobility boots as well as the Cloud Drake. So this guy will be everywhere on the map if he wants to be. Xiaohu has collected himself the Nash's Tooth going towards his Rylai's Crystal Scepter relatively soon. But look, when Condi goes into Spider form, he's able to navigate some distance.
He's going to be everywhere. Curious about where Team WE are going to place 957 now. They can continue to try to make him a pressure point to draw multiple resources top lane and then collapse onto the bottom side of the map.
You can see RNG looking to try and stop this wave here. Make sure that this Mystic and Zero combination have to come to them.
Round 4.
Yeah. This is like, it's like the starting line for MLXG, that brush. He's like, oh, where do I go? Yeah, here we are.
It's just disappointing to see RNG so focused on their bottom side of the map.
Arrow. Not going to find it.
And yes, Uzi is a fantastic asset, but Looper has really been the backbone for a lot of their success.
Yeah. Not this time around, though. Hasn't been able to stave off 957's aggression onto that tower.
It's just this composition. It's such a bot-focused comp, and having the Shen topside just because the formula is Arrow, Hecarim, Shen ult.
Yeah.
Makes them very telegraphed.
Well, Xie has gone back, grabbed himself that null magic mantle as well as the needlessly large rod. Wants that Archangel staff / Seraph's Embrace as quickly as possible. Looper happy to grab this farm where he can, but you can see 957 goes back. Vampiric Scepter actually doesn't go back. He already had that. So Vampiric Scepter building towards the Ravenous Hydra. Spirit Visage to follow. And that'll be very hard for Shen to do anything. A lot of his damage is magic. Only has that Sunfire Cape now to his name. And 957 doesn't really care about killing the Shen either. That's not what he wants.
No, he just wants to continue to farm up, get those heavy resistance items as well as his split pushing items and cause a nuisance for RNG up into this top side again. He wants to be a pressure point, drag people around the map and open up other trading opportunities, something that Team WE love to take advantage of.
Oh yeah.
We've hit a bit of a lull, however. Team WE, again, they have a hyper-scaling composition. They're already in a great position early game, so they can continue to sit and try to farm this one out if they want.
I'm just extraordinarily impressed by the WE bottom lane as well. The fact that with limited help and a lot of attention from the enemy jungler, they're still able to stay ahead. As Sivir Alistair into Ashe Braum when they're being played by Uzi and Mata.
Well, they did have better executed assistance. I will agree with you that MLXG has spent far more time down there than Condi has, but Condi actually made it count.
Yeah.
And so they technically do have the advantage there. But I will agree, yes. It's Uzi Mata. It's a tall order to take. We don't really expect Mystic to be able to be on that same tier as likes of Imp, Deft, and Uzi. Although he is certainly making a case for himself as these series continue to go on and he defines his career within the LPL.
Yeah, it was the, his Ezreal was the thing that really needed to be respected, but he's just turning himself into a really good all-round player. Xiaohu clears out that wave. She still with a slight lead.
I mean, this could certainly be a turning point for Team WE in this series where they start to define themselves as the second best team in China.
Yeah. Shadow Dash used on a 957. 957 flat out doesn't care, just wants to get to the next minion wave. And we're talking about creating pressure points around the map. Xie can insta-clear waves. Mystic can almost insta-clear waves. And it's RNG that have the onus on them. WE have all of this extra room to move. As Condi, you can see, clearing out vision. Baron going to be available in 25 seconds. This is WE with a lead at 20 minutes into the game. And it only gets worse from here if you're against WE. They haven't even started.
To be fair, though, yes, against Team WE, RNG's composition also has that potential. So we're, again, congregating towards this bottom lane, although a lot of information given to RNG. They should know exactly where Team WE are.
WER. Excellent. Didn't actually realize that is... Okay, never mind. Uzi going to take down these minions underneath the turret. Atlas is going to continue getting excited about wordplay, but he's going to do so in his own head. It's Condi waiting once again in the mid lane.
I hear you like blue buff.
Yeah.
Would you like a blue buff?
I also hear that you like summoner spells. Would you like to use them? As Condi and Xie saving themselves up once again.
Oh, poor Xiaohu. He's so scared.
Does use his shifting sands, gets himself out of the way. Xie with the passive. Clear this one out very easily.
Means that Mata and Uzi immediately have to go on the defensive, hide in Fog of War as soon as Condi shows himself, knowing that this Elise is prowling through their jungle.
Mm-hmm. There is a ward there. MLXG actually setting up for this one. Xie moving forward. He's going to be spotted as well. They know that this has gone down as Mata possibly caught out of position. There's the ultimate one more time. The teleport's coming down from 957 as well, as this is going to be the team fight that we've been waiting for. WE just trying to get out of there. As you can see, the rappel gets Condi out, but Xie gets nailed by the arrow and obliterated by RNG. They grab the pick they're looking for. Can they transition into anything else?
And that's the mistake. Xie actually dies with flash up, so had the potential to dodge the arrow, but did not. And Team WE wanted to disengage, as I say that.
0.
Because
Xiaohu misses his too.
They wanted to buy time for 957, who is now proxy farming behind inner turret.
Well, you can see Condi taken down to about half health. Decent pulverize there from 0 as Mata gets taken down low, but he didn't have the ultimate and is just going to fall down. RNG looking to take themselves their first tower of the game, try and answer the early lead from WE.
They finally get the advantage that they're looking for, and they can collapse towards this dragon if they choose so, or spin their gold.
Oh, Condi just destroys Xiaohu.
Yep, walked into him.
He dash cannoned him. He just dash cannoned him.
So RNG going to go home, spend all this gold that they've now picked up. It is going to be a mountain dragon, so far more valuable than the cloud that Team WE had initially picked up.
Yeah.
They've also got all of their pink wards, so this should be kind of the next big point of contention. 80 carries, completely even in itemization. Azir is on his big 2-item power spike, whereas Ryze is still just kind of stacking up into his power point.
Very close to that Seraph's Embrace, you have to think. As he's now going to be going back to base. Wants to get that item spike before they attempt this dragon. Of course, RNG have a little bit of an opportunity. Everyone on WE just went and spent their gold. Seraph's Embrace now done.
And with this last back, Team WE, RNG's advantage has completely disappeared. They were on even footing, and now the items are very different. You also have a completed Phantom Dancer on Mystic versus just the Zeal on Uzi.
Yeah.
And like you said, Ryze having his 2 items online.
That is such a big spike for Xie as well. Seraphs versus tier plus a needlessly large rod. That is a big deal. That ward not going to be taken down. Condi offers his Raptor Sense, and that's going to be enough. And now Xiaohu just trying to bully WE away from this entrance. They do get in. 0, the one at low health, but does have the Unbreakable Will this time, and WE have started this up. Aggressive movement. They're sitting on top of vision for WE, and do WE actually want to try and take this fight is the question.
Team WE are fine being in this position because they also have a great flanking comp with Sivir.
Well, they're going to trade for this one as well. As there's the Rune Prison. You can see MLXG makes his way in, but the arrow flies off to the side. Out goes Condi, actually looking for a flanking play as well, as RNG kiting this one out nicely. MLXG off to the side, unable to offer too much more, as now 957 getting himself in there. Another Rune Prison comes in, but WE can't find the picks. And Xiaohu completely corralled out of that fight. Condi just has his number this game.
In the end, RNG do manage to take down the mid tower.
Yep.
So slight advantage or success there.
Well, that's double dragons here for WE, and the last one being a Mountain Drake is important because they can now utilize their late game scaling comp.
And have siege threat.
Yeah, precisely.
Next kind of big point for Team WE is working Mystic towards that Infinity Edge. He looked a bit hesitant to fight that last time.
Yeah.
So, about 3k gold out.
Well, Mystic and Condi going to look and see whether they can pick up at least this farm, but the tower does fall down. Nice crit. Clears out all of those minions. Mystic reestablishes the gold lead. Sorry, the CS advantage versus Uzi.
Something that we don't normally really see.
No, exactly. Uzi goes back, finishes off the Renan's Hurricane, and gets himself a BF sword as well. So another reason why RNG probably didn't want to fight was because Uzi was sitting on at least 2,000 gold. 957 answers that outer turret take, and this is the WE way. You take something, we'll take something back. And WE retain the gold lead.
At this point in the game, Team WE should again look to kind of slow it down a bit, look towards that next big item break point on their AD carry. And then once Sivir has the Infinity Edge, so has the BF sword now.
I think.
That will be the next big explosion. Whereas now that the map has opened up a lot more, it's favor back towards RNG to really start abusing their Shin, Hecarim, Ashe composition. So RNG, they have a window right now where they're very strong. It's an open map. They can make a lot of picks and run Team WE down and try to get a good snowball to close this series out.
Well, tons of pings now onto Mystic on the top side of the map. You can see Zero is racing up there as best he can, but MLXG, he's going to find his way in first. There's the Sand United as Mystic slightly out of position. In goes Zero, but doesn't get the CC in time as the ultimate comes out. Exactly the same as the Shadow Dash. As in goes the Hawkshot and the arrow. But that is just an easy pick for RNG, and Mystic was honestly overextended.
And that was the window of opportunity that we were talking about. So well executed from RNG. Unfortunately, it's not big enough a pick that they could translate into anything bigger, although they do have an obsession with Baron.
I was going to say, or is it? And the Baron's up.
They do have a great Baron shred composition in Azir and Ashe.
Well, Condi possibly caught out. Dash Cannon gets himself to safety. Hextech Proto Belt, always worth the money. He's going to be fine, doesn't have to use the flash, and Baron is still going to be started. And
this is
Lupa
risky.
dashes over.
Should be noted that if they attempt to do this and it comes down to a 50-50, that Condi has the stronger smite due to a higher level.
Also, a lot of extra secure potential as well, as there's the pillar.
They're free.
957 just doesn't look scared.
Well, they're free to do this because they know that the Ashe arrow was just used. It's now just back off of cooldown, as well as the onslaught of shot out top lane. So it's the assumption that the two key engage ultimates are not available, so we can be overextended and look to siege down mid, or at least get chip damage on it, because the flank isn't coming.
You can see Mystic wants to just deal with this top wave. He had unfinished business. He takes down the Krug camp as well. So Mystic now doesn't have to extend himself too far forward, as he's giving a lot of respect.
Yep, but still only sitting on 600 gold. Needs to get closer to that 2.5.
Yeah, or at least the 875. Grab himself a pickaxe on that next back if he wants to. Shie clears out another minion wave. Has been relatively quiet, this Ryze player, after getting picked off in the last team fight. And Xiaohu has casually got himself towards his Ryle's Crystal Scepter as well as that Nash's Tooth. So big item spike for the Azir. Only now needs to augment that with the Void Staff, possibly a Rabadon's, all sorts of stuff.
This is a bit scary though. So Mystic should actually go down bottom, or he wants to go down bottom because he wants to pick up this big incoming wave. Again, he's trying to hit an item breakpoint. But obviously if he goes bottom, he doesn't have the teleport, which is why 957 is responding to this. But you can see the...
Yeah.
As soon as the wave was starting to crash, he walked into Fog of War, immediately started to back. And now it's a problem where you're delaying Sivir's item spike because she has to sit in lane with Ryze, and RNG are pressuring Baron so hard. So RNG are actually doing a great job keeping Mystic down by applying pressure to that point.
Well, only needs 1,400 now, which is important as Boomerang doesn't find Uzi. Mystic holding onto that spell shield. Decent ricochet damage flies through as the Banshee's Veil's there for Condi. You can tank up these arrows now. Can't be used for an engage tool, much like what the Malzahar offered last time around. WE now with a 300 gold lead. This game is so close as Mata soaks some damage from Condi. Still control of this brush available for WE. Not now, as MLXG locks that one up as this outer turret now under fire. Arrow flies through. Condi's Banshee's Veil was already down as he does have the repel, but he's stunned for so long. Tower falls as 957's able to lock it down, and Shie answers with the kill onto Mata. Sun turret goes up. RNG, relatively low health bars, and it's no trade to come in. Somehow Condi survives. RNG lose another team fight.
And that was huge props to Zero, frankly. He actually did a great job zoning MLXG on the top side of the map. If an Alistar positions well and saves his cooldowns, it's very hard to engage on that composition ever, even if you have an onslaught of shadows, because MLXG was very delayed into the back half of that fight, and Mystic did a beautiful job just sidestepping the damage.
Yeah.
WE's bottom lane doing a lot of work this game, and this is important because that last team fight was kind of like the last time that RNG were going to have stronger items in the Sivir. She's now going to have the Infinity Edge available to her, so Mystic's about to come fully online.
And he's going to be fully terrifying as well. As of course, Uzi still will do respectable damage, but we saw in the last game, didn't have that backline reach. Whereas Mystic, bounced stuff everywhere. Be repugnant.
And
so much damage.
It's about to get even more disgusting.
Yeah. And there it is, Infinity Edge built up. Much as Froskarin just described. And that is Frozen Heart completed as well as the Spirit Visage. I actually like 957 moving towards, I guess, the more fully defensive option in that secondary item instead of the Iceborne Gauntlet.
You want to hear something even more surprising?
What's that?
I actually really enjoy Team WE right now.
This is a big moment.
I think they're playing phenomenally well.
They are. And this is very different because they've shored up what were problems in the early game. And they were always good at playing in 4 minutes from now. We'll see whether they can keep it up because, of course, they do have the lead, but it is still small. And last time around, they were able to take game one against RNG. RNG turned it all around. Remember, we've got players like Uzi, who now has his Infinity Edge as well. Players like Xiaohu, who's waiting for his Void Staff. We'll have it relatively soon. Now WE are the ones setting up around this Baron area. They have a lot of damage for it, and they're going to start it up as well. RNG nowhere near position. Mountain Drake is available for WE. They're doing a lot of damage.
But this is massive because Xiaohu actually just back, so the Azir is not available, and it burns.
That just melted as Marta's going to get caught out of position as well. Mystic locks down the kill, and WE make the proactive play before 35 minutes, get a pick and get a Baron.
But we talked about that turning point, the fact that RNG needed to win the last team fight, and because they didn't, Sivir got to her item power spike. Immediately, Team WE knew that they were stronger. They rush towards the Baron. They take it down. They're now in full control of the game.
Yeah, now setting up for this siege as RNG have to move out of the way. That flank was too powerful from WE, and before even having, going back and spending their gold, WE take down an inner turret in the mid lane and further extend that lead. It's now 5,000, and our second place team, well, third place team now, looking to reclaim that second position. About to take down the top dogs.
What a comeback story from this organization, from both these organizations, frankly. Yeah. Rebuilding their brands, rebuilding from the ground up to try to reclaim glory lost. Royal never gives up. Starhorn Royal Club.
Yeah.
Two-time world finalist, picking Uzi back up into the roster, trying to recreate success. Team WE, looking for this.
Well, there's the teleport coming in. MLXG is going to get headbutted out as Lupa throws down the Shadow Dash, but RNG, they have to escape as On the Hunt has been popped down. Cocoon's going to miss, but you can see Lupa taking so much damage from Mystic despite the lack of any sort of armor penetration from this Sivir. Just does so much work, and RNG playing so scared.
You just can't engage on the composition. They've got Trundle, they have Alistar. As long as those two champions use their cooldowns correctly, the threat of Hecarim and Shin is non-existent. Team
WWE will
WE
easily get this.
have successfully rebuilt their organization and are looking to reclaim the glory of World Elite.
And the beauty of it as well is they rebuilt not by changing their players, not by adjusting anything. This is the same squad that we saw do pretty well in the first split, now doing fantastically well towards the end of the second split.
How far they have come from being the last place LPL team and taking down the GE Tigers, the same team that made the greatest upset in terms of League of Legends skill
Yeah.
in IEM when TSM went to win it all.
And that was the debut of Shie. That was the debut of this roster, exactly.
Now, really the only adjustment is Aluka for 957.
Oh, unfortunately. Still, I think it's a downgrade. Which is sarcasm, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just an Aluka fan. His Scion was probably better than 957. That's all I'm going to say.
It just proves this point. You know, stick with a consistent roster. Develop that synergy. Work together.
Yeah. And this WE team feels like a team as opposed to 5 really good players, which is what RNG are. And the team's what wins out, as now this inner turret is going to fall down as well. Systematic destruction of the structures of RNG as WE further extend that lead. 8,000 gold is the lead. As RNG now relegated to inside their base. Their jungle no longer belongs to them. There's not a whole lot of Baron left remaining, but just look at how quickly these minion waves get shredded. Last Whisper's done from Mystic as well.
But look at the damage that Uzi just took on a ricochet. Crit him and pretty much put him at half health. He's forced to relegate himself towards his Nexus. Heal back up on the fountain, which means the 80 carry isn't there for this.
GA flashes forward. Massive CC comes in as the tower still doing work for RNG, but Uzi, he's getting dash cannoned on by Condi, who once again just singling out team members of RNG. Condi does fall to Uzi, but Mata, he's going to follow suit as Looper dies to the damage of 957, and RNG no longer relegated to their base. That's the fountain.
Fortunately for them, they still have the Nexus Tower standing as well as primary wave clear and Ash, so Team WE shouldn't end on this push.
But Headbutt gets MLXG out. Zero now looking to try and get out of there as the inhibitor does fall down. They achieved exactly what they wanted to, although they did sacrifice both Condi and Mystic. It's going to mean 8,000 gold remains the lead. And this team has a lot of money to spend. That was a lot of global gold that they just put into their back pocket.
And it's actually really important of the inhibitor that they picked. So normally when you see teams take Baron, they choose the bottom inhibitor. But in this case, they choose the Elder Drake inhibitor.
Because it's now 1 minute past 35 minutes. This is WE. And their mascot stands on the map.
So very clever priority there for Team WE to open up this play for them. And they're looking for the final hit, the chokehold.
The Hail Mary, as it were. Currently 10-6 as far as that kill score is concerned. RNG still not out of it by all means. But they've still got, oh my goodness, looking for the pick, but they don't find it with the Enchanted Crystal Arrow. Not a long cooldown, but it might be long enough for WE to be able to try and get something done around this Dragon Pit.
It's a big cooldown down.
Yeah.
Very necessary for RNG. Now they're really reliant again on their Shin Hecarim engage, and that's very difficult to execute against the likes of Ryze, Alistar, and Trundle.
They've just got so much damage as well as RNG trying to put themselves back into position. There's a headbutt pulverized onto MLXG, who gets to stand united. 957 finds himself in the backline as MLXG steals away the Elder Dragon. Looper caught out just a little bit as Mystic does have a lot of damage. MLXG falls down after taking the Elder for his team. And WE understand that they may not be able to get too much more done. Xiaohu scoping out Zero, and he finds the kill with the auto attack from the Sand Soldier. So it's a 1-for-1 trade, but RNG come out on top with the Elder Dragon.
And MLXG keeps RNG alive in this series with a, like you said, Hail Mary smite steal there. Wonderfully played from the young Chinese jungler.
And that was exactly, like they needed anything. And that is going to help them, but I still don't know whether they're out of the woods yet.
That was game.
Precisely.
It gives them about a 3-minute rest point. So scary thing, Baron coming up in 30 seconds with the added damage buff, though, from the Elder Drake. They should be able to kind of contest this or at least delay it until they get a more favorable scenario.
Also have to wait until MLXG's back up as well before they go into anything like that. May not be able to get to that Baron pit in time for them to utilize that buff.
And you know, we've been very critical on RNG, and anytime they make a lapse in a macro play or a map movement, it needs to be said for Team WE and setting up that Elder Drake as well. They prioritize taking the top inhibitor, which is opposite the Elder Drake on the map, and they did not use that pressure point when trying to set it up. Zero went a little bit early in trying to keep Hecarim out of the fight, blowing his cooldowns and allowing MLXG to close and collapse onto it. So right before the finish line, Team WE did make a macro and map mistake.
Yeah, a little bit overly keen moving in towards that one. Of course, probably what they did want to do is keep 5 members of RNG there and let Nexus turrets fall down to the Super Creeps. Let the onus be on them to start off the Elder Drake. But WE now clearing out vision once again around this Baron pit. Uzi and Mata setting up, looking for their opportunity as 957 creating more pressure towards this bottom side. And RNG, if they can do anything, they can pull a trigger quickly, and that's going to be that as Mystic gets launched on. Looper looking for the ultimate. Oh my goodness, MLXG is going to help lock it down. Uzi grabs the kill as now RNG closing in on WE. Looper right into the back line, but he's still not dead yet as Zero. No more ultimate remaining, and Xiaohu's going to be able to pick up the kill. In goes Looper one more time. Flash taunt. This Shen play is beautiful as the Guardian Angel is going to lock down Xie. Everyone piles in. RNG grab 3 kills, and they'll get a Baron as well.
Disaster for Team WE. Mystic got chased around the whole course of that fight, and this is a huge swing of power for RNG. If they get this Baron, they're in full control of the game.
Well, no flash available here for Condi, who can get himself into the pit, but decides not to. And it is going to be Xiaohu actually looking for the kill as the Cocoon saves Condi's life, but won't get him the Baron.
So the reason why this is important is, yes, there are super creeps that just took down a Nexus turret, but the inhibitor will be respawning soon, so this pressure point won't be alive for very much longer on the map for Team WE. They can consolidate the Baron, and they can start making aggressive, proactive moves with it.
Yeah, RNG, shoes immediately placed onto the other foot. Their Guardian Angels, both of them available for Looper and MLXG. I believe Looper just finished his off. Rabbidan's death cap there for Xiaohu for that fight, which is why I was doing so much damage. Not to mention a casual 70 CS lead that sprung out almost out of nowhere. And he's building towards that Banshee's Veil. No more picks onto Xiaohu.
And there we go. There's the inhib respawn for RNG, so again, they are in a position where they can be proactive on the map. This is not a defensive Baron by any means.
Well, we'll see. Now for WE's wave clear to be put to the test. Of course, Xie has it, but relatively short range.
This is a single arrow from disaster for Team WE. If Uzi can find a high priority target, they could end the game this late.
RNG desperately battling to stay in this series. Condi, so many particle effects swirling around him, as he's got 6 items on this at least. 4, 1, and 7. His performance has been great. But now it comes down to these micro plays. It's 957 once again getting the split push on, but I just find splitting against RNG so dangerous because they are so decisive in their movements.
We saw that when they approached the last Baron fight, just willing to pull the trigger instantly on Hecarim and Shen. Alistair not in position to save Mystic.
957 immediately going to be backing now. Doesn't have the teleport, but is it going to be fast enough as the boomerang flies through? They're going to be relying on Mystic's wave clear here with the Baroned up minions. As MLXG hit by the Cocoon. And they're able to stave off this minion wave quite effectively. It was a big one.
They have to deal with 2 cannon creeps, though.
Yeah. Well, RNG do just transfer their way over. Inner turrets are going to be the easier targets, and they want to be able to get back that gold advantage, which they don't have this stage.
It's also important to note that they're much easier to dive these inner turrets, which is why we see MLXG set up for a flank here.
Well, you can see it was actually Zero setting himself up for a flank as well. Over to the side, wants to pick up the minion wave perhaps. As RNG are going to be responding to the cow. He's got mobility boots, so should be okay. Double Cloud Drake also helping there. Now Looper going to move over. So this inner turret is going to be sacrificed. WE very good at identifying when they shouldn't take something. As minion wave crashing towards the top side of the map once again. You can see Looper's going to go up there and see whether he can push that one through. But Mystic, with all of these crits, able to take down this wave. No damage going to ensue onto this inner turret. Sorry, inhibitor turret.
Still the possibility of RNG just pulling the trigger. Long-range engage options aplenty.
Most certainly.
A lot of respect giving to Team WE, though, and not just initially diving.
Well, Condi does find the cocoon. It's Lupa fighting on a 957. Condi taking a lot of damage. There's the arrow as well, as he did manage to dash cannon, but Condi is going to get caught out. There's the repel as Shea comes over the top. They're looking for MLXG as Mystic relatively safe now towards the back of the fight, but looking for those ricochets and doesn't find too many. No one gets picked off. It's just both of these teams just dipping their toes into the water.
And that will be a mistake by prioritizing Condi with their important cooldowns. The fact that the GA Elise picks up the arrow as well as the Onslaught of Shadows was a huge target error from RNG.
Yeah. Well, you can see now it was Mortal Reminder completed by Uzi. Both of these AD carries sitting on their QSSs. Want to get to that Mercurial Scimitar, finish off that 6-item build. It'll be when the Ashe versus Sivir gets put to the test. Because both of them, lots of AoE potential with the Hurricane as well as the Volley.
So Ashe is going to give you more control in a fight. Obviously able to use that Volley to kite backwards. A lot of AoE spread. Sivir's going to have more damage in her AoE spread and a longer reach with it with the Ricochet if she gets appropriate bounces, but it's not going to be as, I'm going to say, consistent.
Or guaranteed.
Yeah, because obviously you can't control really where your Ricochet is going to bounce.
This is feeling very similar to our first series as game number 3. However, this is game number 2. 45 minutes in, the gold is dead even.
It comes down to single team fight execution. RNG have been successful when they're able to pick off a member instantaneously. They're excellent at skirmishing and collapsing. If it's a straight 5v5, Team WE should come out on top. Nothing to do with composition. They're just frankly better at it.
It's what they've been priding themselves on as well, as now Zero is going to be... Oh my god. That was close. Zero just randomly backing in that brush. Well, MLXG does a drive-by, but thankfully doesn't walk through it. RNG doing RNG things, just picking up slightly bigger leads from their advantage of taking the map and pushing these minion waves forward.
There's nothing really to fight for on the map right now unless RNG see a pick, so things should be relatively quiet until the Elder Drake and Baron respawn, which are going to happen at very similar time frames. Something that's popular in Korea is teams will actually trade one objective for the other, and they just kind of neutralize each other, because the Baron team doesn't want to try to fight the damage buff of the Elder Drake. And meanwhile, the Elder Drake team really can't push against the Baroned up team. That is not the case that we've seen in the LPL. Both these teams will die for Baron.
Well, there's the arrow used as Zero immediately ults in order to get out. Has to blow the flash. They get the ultimate and the flash out of the Alistair, and can RNG utilize this in trade for that arrow?
And that's actually very important because Zero is so key to the success of Team WE's team fight and their zoning to keep Mystic safe. Again, as long as the Sivir is alive and RNG are clumped up, Team WE will win.
Just keep your eye on that Unbreakable Will cooldown. As you can see, Zero back up to full health, does have the exhaust, and RNG now setting themselves up to steal this red buff, but also get into position for this Baron one more time.
The bigger issue is the fact that Team WE don't have any vision in this area, so they're going to have to face check blind, and the speed at which either of these teams can burn Baron is pretty scary.
It's just, yeah, pretty ridiculous. As Pillar flies through, looking to try and grab something, but with the Guardian Angel on 3 members of RNG, there aren't too many picks that they can just grab away, as this Baron is taking so much damage. Zero flies through, gets the ward. Condi looking to try and get into the pit. He's in position to try and get this steal as the fight has broken out over to the side. RNG have decided to suck that one up. Uzi takes down the supporters. 957 also melting. The GA goes off as Shea right in the backline. MLXG looking to take down Mystic, but the Guardian Angel's down. Now 957 fighting on with Mata and pulling him off to the side. The power of Braum being demonstrated right now, but 957 flashes his way out. Zero, the only one to fall down just yet as Condi's going low. Xiaohu's going to be the pick though as Mata. He's also extraordinarily low. Mystic takes him down and he's now trying to fight with MLXG, who's doing all the work that he can, but he gets the double kill. And now it's going to be Condi falling down to his GA. Uzi gets the pick, just turns around and shoots him in the face. It's a triple kill for the Ashe. And now 957 with no flash available. RNG getting led to victory potentially by Uzi's Ashe play. in this late game if they can find this troll.
We talk about all the time the 1% outplay miracle chances.
The arrow lands as well.
Uzi!
What is this? As 957, it wasn't enough distance, but now they're looking to take down the Baron with 2 people.
And there's no real response from Team WE available. 957 can try to come in here and delay them, but there's no jungler, no smite advantage, and this Ashe is a massive threat.
Well, there's the pillar. Does have the subjugator. Zero's going to respawn, gets a nice double pulverize.
Oh, they got it to reset.
Yeah, gets him off the Baron. That face of the mountain, honestly, I feel would have saved 957 as well, as RNG are going to jump straight back onto it. Of course, Vision is here. No one is up, and 957's too low. Tower falls down on the top side of the map. The base is breaking while WE were trying to stop this. And all it's done is made sure that the Baron is now on 5 members of RNG.
And you can see Mata on your screen, the lower left, shouting out commands, taking that leadership position and telling them, just go for it, just do the Baron. They don't have the health pool on Trundle to stop you again.
This game is ridiculous. It's a 3,000 gold lead, but let's not talk about gold anymore. It's up to 90k for both teams.
This comes down to execution. That was the miracle that RNG needed to get back into this game. Wholly on Uzi. This is why you pick that player up. This is why you put him in the team. Yes, they went to MSI. They went 8-2 a group stage with Wushin, but they knew that Uzi would be the immediate upgrade.
And he's
it's moments like
8-0-5.
that.
Precisely. Now, 50 minutes into the game, the Elder Drake is going to be taken. Of course, doesn't augment any Dragon pickups for RNG, as it's only Elders that they've managed to pick up, but does give them that extra auto attack damage, denies it from WE, and now throw that on top of a Baron buff. You have a very difficult team to fight.
I love how they have 2 Elder Drakes.
Yeah.
And their dragon popped down. Okay. Can Mystic Sivir hold out long enough for this Baron buff and Elder Drake? Will Team WE get another shot at this?
And will Team WE actually try to fight this one as well with their GAs on cooldown, with the fact that Lupa still has his available? They managed to take down Xiaohu. That was such a big deal, but the fact that Mystic just got turned on by Uzi and 2-shot in that last fight was such a big deal.
Slight miscommunication and just a timing issue. The fact that Uzi caught Mystic by surprise because the TP was coming in, and that would have been a beautiful play from Team WE. But just Uzi things.
Precisely. Well, now MLXG 6-item Hecarim, Xiaohu 6-item Azir. Mata is Braum. Not as relevant. But Lupa, 2-1-10, 12 out of 14 kill participation. He's really been getting amongst it, despite the fact that 957 was able to stop his ultimate from entering so many early fights and saving it for WE. Just wasn't enough, as now MLXG setting himself up to try and take down this inner turret. On the Hunt has been popped. They actually want to go for this, but that is not the player you want to be going in on, as the inhibitor falls down on the top side of the map. RNG utilize the extra space that they got, and WE probably an unfortunate decision to make, trying to chase down Hecarim, as now RNG group back together and look to try and take down this inhibitor turret in the mid lane.
I disagree. I think it was the right one because they burned the onslaught of shadows, which means that the only thing that RNG have left is the ice arrow. They can no longer hard engage with the Shin, Hecarim. And yes, they did trade their inhib for it, but they were probably going to lose one anyway if RNG had consolidated all of their resources into a lane. So it was kind of an expected outcome, but getting something unexpected.
Well, Uzi off to the side is able to take down Xie so early in this fight. Connie gets on top of him. Dash Cannon's in there, but there's the Emperor's Divide. The peel comes out of Xiaohu. WE do answer. They take down MLXG, but that is all part of this RNG plan. Triple kill comes in for Uzi. He's still alive, despite the fact that he just got hit by a ricochet for about 1 billion damage.
They have to give this one up.
Yeah, WE cannot respond. 4 versus 2. The bottom lane is all that stands from WE. And they have super creeps now to deliver the hurt to these Nexus turrets.
Mystic has to play this perfectly. If he steps out of line, if he's caught, it's done.
He cannot be in range for any of this CC, as Mystic takes so much damage. Lupa gets him, and he can't even utilize the spell shield in time. That is an unofficial pentakill in that last fight for Uzi. 19-15. WE had the lead the whole game, but RNG turn it around and close it out.
And that's the RNG that we expected, and more importantly, that's the Uzi that we expected when he was picked up onto this roster. Phenomenal play from an all-star 80 carry.
Just ridiculous. And RNG in a game where they were behind by 8,000 gold to turn it around with one team fight off the back of one player and his exceptional play. Just ridiculous. And RNG have found some redemption in this series. Of course, that is only evening it out. We now go to a game number 3, and we'll see whether WE can find the form that they had in game number 1, or whether RNG, something's clicked. They're going to give them the respect, play patiently, and just take the victory that way.
As we go ahead and look at the highlights from last game, a lot of 5v5s and players to watch, of course, Xiaohu and Uzi showing up massively for RNG.
Oh, yeah.
That I cannot wait to see that final Emperor's Divide to save Uzi's life.
The peel from the mid laner honestly saved that game and made that last team fight so exceptionally easy for RNG based on beautiful execution, as that Emperor's Divide was not exactly the one that they wanted, but created enough space. Xiaohu does fall down here, but it's honestly the Uzi story. He gets exhausted, but who really cares?
These Baron plays, though, also kind of the other defining point for RNG. So Baron certainly burned them in game number 1, came to their aid, and rescued them in game number 2. I have to think the fact that RNG were able to best Team WE past 35 minutes, especially with such
past 35 minutes.
Especially with such lax early gameplay, is quite impressive. It's nice to see them kind of wake up and welcome back RNG. It's been a while.
Yeah, and it might have been a little bit of nerves sinking in for WE because they were playing just such beautiful League of Legends up until that point. And WE get the flash onto Xiaohu in this fight. They managed to know exactly what they're doing, but this is where Mystic v Uzi is the battle as MLXG tries to fight it out. The Rampage gets spell shielded, and the flash from Uzi just picks it up. 2 auto attacks, and Mystic's dead. And that is that.
I feel like it was 3 core team fights. This is, of course, the beautiful Emperor's Divide as so many resources dive back onto Uzi. So this team fight, the one that we last saw, and then the pick from MLXG on Mystic when he came around the corner on that Baron play and just deleted him initially, I think was kind of the start of RNG getting back into the game and realizing, okay, this is how this composition works. Just delete the Sivir before the 5v5 even starts, and we can easily win.
That's exactly right. But ladies and gentlemen, game number 3 is going to be coming up extraordinarily soon. We are going to throw it to a quick break, but you do not want to miss this last game.